All right, folks, welcome back to this next video. This is going to be our vertical stabilizer, or the tail, and let's talk about what we're going to be looking for here. I think what I'm going to do is loft to this point, and I'll use a normal to profile on both, but with a very small magnitude so that it will be mostly linear. And then I'll do a second loft. Or you could probably even get away with an extrude from the face that you just lofted, that ended on, all the way out here to this bottom point. And then let's do an extruded cut where we trim out the rest of this profile. So I'm going to start by making a plane, and I want to reference my very front plane, the XY plane. And we'll go to the right view now. Let's go 6.85 and apply that. Actually, 6.825. Yeah, I think that's a bit better. We will activate a 2D sketch on our plane. And I'll reset my view so that it goes to the other side. Now if I go to my View tab and toggle my sketches, I've made my concluding sketch right here. So I want to make this vertical stabilizer, but let's make it a little bit more exciting than how it's been made before. This time let's come down here and have it kind of flare out at the bottom, because I think it does that on the Gripen in real life. So we'll go to a 2D sketch. I'll make a vertical line, and we'll terminate it right inside the body here. I probably want to lock this in place, so in fact I can even just select this point and lock, right? That's probably easier than dimensions. We'll go with a spline. And you can also do like a line section right here if you wish, which is probably pretty effective. As long as our loft will be rather smooth, which I think it still will be. In Alibre, you do want to use the same number of sketch elements if possible for lofting, and that's true for every platform that I've used. So I'll make this, try to make this as tangent as possible, tangent to horizontal here, tangent to vertical here. That should be acceptable. And then maybe I can even lock this point in place just so stuff doesn't walk around on me. And then we'll go with another spline and have it flare out. Probably out to the width here. In fact, I better add a few more points. Right, so this point will try to keep us tangent to vertical. This point will determine how we flare out. And that's looking pretty good, right? So we don't want to go too crazy with how wide we flare out. But now that we're inside of the body of the plane, I can probably comfortably add a horizontal relation. Come up here to make sure that we are as tangent as possible. Right, so that's looking good. And then I'll add a line down here. All right, now to loft from here to here. I'm going to do a little trick. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sketch elements. And of course I want to start from this face. Now in Alibre, this sketch that is a member of this loft has been already kind of consumed, if you will. So if I go find this loft in the tree, I think it's, yep, loft 15 here. When I highlight sketch 16, that is 3 elements. And so I can't take sketch 16 and loft it up here, even though that's the profile that I want. So instead, I'm going to choose this face, activate a 2D sketch. I'm going to project a sketch. We'll choose sketch 16, right? You've seen me do this before. And this is where I want to do a little trick. So I have 3 sketch elements that I'm going to import. I have 5 sketch elements up here. So why not make these reference figure with maintained association, and then I can trace over them with the number of sketch elements that I need. And that should help Alibre understand my intent behind this loft. And the easiest part is I can just select these 2 lines, and then I can do a series of like 3 arcs, right? Now I know, and I think, yes, my first arc is going to be quite short. My second arc will go into that linear section, will be quite long. And then my third arc will come down here. I don't think it's too important to fully constrain this, given that most of our other sketches aren't fully constrained. So we'll deactivate that. We'll go with another additive loft. We've already selected sketch 27, and so we'll loft to sketch 26. I'm going to choose tangent, but my magnitude of 1 is going to be way too big, right? If I just accept that, and I know why. I do need to get rid of minimize curvature to make sure that my tangent really matters here. So I'm going to say OK, and yep, it doesn't even work now. So I'm going to go back to edit, and we're going to specify this as say 0.1 and 0.1, right? It's a real small magnitude. And there we have something that's mostly linear. And if I look at this from the right side, you can kind of see our blue profile there. Mostly linear, actually. That looks pretty good. I think I'm going to keep that, even though it's not quite perfect. I think that's good. I'd have to move this plane back a little bit if I wanted to really fine-tune it. Let's go on to the next plane, right? The XY plane. And move that back. Now, as before, when I go to the right view, I said that I want to loft to the point that the tail meets this back body here. So maybe 7.145, 7.14. Okay, I'm going to go with 7.14, and I have this nice edge right here that is super useful. Oh, but I actually did not mean to do that, so actually let's close that. Okay, yep, so I have my plane there. I have this edge that is really useful. So I'll keep that in mind when I go to do my little extrude to shape the back end of this tail. I'll select this plane, we'll activate a 2D sketch on it, and I'll reset my view so I'm looking at the back of the sketch. Now my main thing is I want my tail to kind of narrow back out as I come in. So I can import perhaps some sketch elements here. Let's project a sketch. I like this, and my line, but I want to modify my other elements to make sure that I'm doing it exactly how I want to, except I'll hit Control Z. I do want to make sure that we have maintained association, so they should come in being the color black. That's better. In fact, I can probably come all the way down here. Now this is of course stuck being maintained, and this line doesn't go below my body, right? So that can be a problem. What I'm going to do to fix that is convert to reference and make my own line that goes to the length that I wish for it to be. Right, then I can bridge the gap here, and I should have 5 elements. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we're looking good there. We'll make a horizontal relation. And I'm just going to make sure that this is vertical. Yep. So we're good there. deactivate my sketch, and since I've already consumed this sketch that I'm highlighting, right, and I can sketch on this face that I have highlighted if I want to, but it is best to use a plane when you can. So I'm going to highlight my plane, create a 2D sketch, and simply re-import the sketch that I've already made. I think that was either sketch 26 or 27. 26. So I can highlight sketch 26, project a sketch, there we go, and maintain association. Now that I've remade that sketch, and it will update with changes to the previous sketch, I will grab these two. Let's do a loft. We want to specify tangents, and I'm going to take a guess at 0.05 for magnitude and 0.05. And yeah, that looks like a pretty smooth transition in the tail of the airplane. Nothing too dramatic, but I think it gives us kind of the curvy surface that we want. I'll highlight my middle plane now. My YZ plane will activate a 2D sketch. All right, now I'm sketching in here. I want to trace out this back profile, and you can tell that our image from the side may have a different tail height than our image from the front or something like that, because I know we had a little bit better of a height on our other sketches, but that's okay. I'll grab my line here, and vertical relation is fine. I'll grab a tangent arc and try to represent sort of a nice smooth curve through there, and then we'll grab another line. Now from here we'll project. I'm going to make this a sketch figure. I'll choose this part here. We'll maintain association. Now we'll go with coincident from here to here. And let's make a vertical line. Next, I'll choose a tangent arc. And I know I want it tangent, this arc to be tangent with this edge. And I want this point to be coincident onto there. Right? So there we have a nice tangent coincident relationship where we have our smooth cut. We've walked around a little bit, so to prevent walking around some more, I know I want that point to be right there, so I'll choose a lock or fix and put it on that point there. Make sure that everything else looks okay. I think it does, so I'll fix a few more points here. Now, I think all I have to do is draw a line from here to here. I'll choose a horizontal and put her there. Now, oops, I may have chosen the wrong plane, but that should be okay with what we're doing here. I'll deactivate my sketch and we'll choose an extrude. And I'll just simply say through all to make sure that we go through the tail. We shouldn't be intersecting with anything else. So, yep, I think we're looking all right there. That is our stabilizer halfway done. So let's loft out the other half. No, I'm just kidding. Let's do a mirror and grab here, here, and make sure that we grab our cut as well. We'll choose our mid plane to be YZ. We have a nice rear vertical stabilizer there. I think that looks somewhat realistic. I want to see if I can fillet this, so I'm going to save my part. And let's grab a fillet. 0.5 is pretty large. How about 0.05? Nope. So it will work for a small radius. How about we go with, so I'm going to go with a fillet of 0.035, and just to make sure that I don't do anything that violates my ability to add a fillet later on, I'm going to break one of the rules and do some fillets mid-tree here. So there we have some nice transitions. Let's work on some of the details up here on this tail. And eventually we'll want to fillet that back end too if we can. So on this tail, we probably care about this thing, and if I take it to a front view, you can see that it kind of pokes out either side of the tail and then has that little cut appearance on there. I think that could just be taken care of by a very simple extrude. So why don't I go to my tree, actually I'll go to my view here and we'll go to wireframe, go to my right view, go back to model, we'll create a 2D sketch on our YZ plane. Now, looks like I didn't choose my YZ plane. I learned from my last mistake, so I'm going to actually get rid of that and choose my YZ plane, activate 2D sketch. Now, I'll simply trace out this profile. In fact, maybe one good reference to use is to create a reference figure of this and this. In fact, I think that's just the linear section. It looks like my arc starts right here, so I think I've gotten lucky and can just reference the back of the tail where it's linear right there. And I'll grab my line tool and I'll just take this all the way from the back. And we've got a horizontal line. I'll make a tangent arc. That comes all the way around pretty well. A few ways to do this. I'm going to try to make sort of an S-curve of arcs. So actually I use my tangent arc from here to there. And right off the bat, I'll secure this with an equal. We'll go with a vertical relation and make sure that this ends tangent to horizontal, and I could probably take it right to that point and I'll add a horizontal relation. I'll grab, oops, not a vertical relation rather, but a vertical line from here to here, and that should close us up reasonably well. So I should have a closed sketch. Let's deactivate. I'll go to my front view. And let's see what it takes for us to extrude out to here. I'll grab my extrusion. And I got to take my depth way down to maybe 0.01 just so I can see. And in fact, I don't think my preview is showing up actually. So I'll go to my view. We'll make this shaded with visible edges, and I bet that will affect our preview. Let's find out. Highlight my sketch 31, choose extrude, and there we have it. I'll go back to my front view now, and something like 0.01, let's see where that puts us. So we need a little bit more. I'm going to say 0.0725. Nice. We'll do the same thing, right? We're going to check the box for, well, we'll go to dual depth here and 0.0725. So I've generated that feature now. it's worth noting that when we made this sketch, this feature was just at a slightly different height from the view that we sketched it from, and that's why it doesn't appear to match up with this view in terms of height. It's one of the hazards that you have when importing sketches into CAD, and that happens with pretty much every sketch that you do. Let's do this little fin here, and if I go to the front, you can see that that fin really doesn't stick out more than the width of the rear stabilizer, so that should be even easier. I will again sketch on my YZ plane. You could probably even just handle this with a rectangle, as simplistic as that sounds. Let's deactivate. Let's do an extrude. Dual dimension is good, just not as wide this time. How about 0.04? Where does that put us? Still too wide. 0.01. Let's go with a dual depth now. 0.01. That seems about right. We can fillet all this stuff at the end as well. Next, this little spiky thing. I'm not sure if that's an antenna or what. It's kind of cool. Let's go on the same plane. That's actually not our center plane. Let's go to the YZ plane. There we go. We'll activate a sketch on there. I think I'm just going to make an equal relation between this sort of, well, not even that, right? What if I make this horizontal? And then I can revolve it. That's the best way to do it. Let's revolve. And again, I've freehanded all the rest of this, so we're going to deactivate. We're going to insert a revolve. We'll choose this as our, not that. That's a bit better. Now I'm kind of running into that other flat thing, and it looks like I'm coming way out of the, yeah. So let's do a few dimensional updates here. Dimensional in quotes, because I'm not even using dimensions here. I'm going to move this down, and that should solve several problems. It doesn't quite match up with the picture, but you know, we didn't have this match up with our front picture anyways, so who's to say what? Deactivate the sketch. That's looking a bit better. And as expected, it looks good from that side too. So I think we've got some of the elements from that rear tail worked out. And I think that's everything. So we'll go through at the end and add in fillets as we need. I hope this video was helpful. This is looking a lot more like an airplane now. If this was helpful, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.